All right, so if you watch my channel, you know that in addition to loving solar and EVs, that I also have a disdain for big oil and big corporation and the utility companies. That's why I've got my electric vehicles behind me, and that's a big part of why I try to get away from using the utility companies as much as possible. So having the batteries and the backup systems and all of the solar power that I have is a big benefit, but I also try to get away from big corporations as well, because they always try to take their monopolies and their price power and mark up things and constantly change the pricing. And so that goes not only for the utilities and for the things like big oil and gas prices, but that even extends to things like my cell phone and the cable providers and of course the internet. And that is the topic for today, is my internet provider, which also happened to be my cell phone provider and my cable company as well. It was all done by AT&T. So what happened was they owned DirecTV as well, and so I had the DirecTV package with cable and internet and cell phone coverage. So I've changed all that. My cell phone provider is now Verizon. I had 1G internet provided by the fiber optics of AT&T. That's what you see right here. But they kept increasing the price on everything. The cell phone package went up. The AT&T Fiber went up. The cable system that they had for DirecTV went up. And so what I did is I cut the cable on everything. I took and switched over to YouTube TV and started the streaming service. But of course they raised the cost on the fiber when everything went up to like $150 for everything. It was like $160 for the phone for my whole family, $140 for the fiber optics. It was $160 for the cable system. Next thing you know, you're just paying so much money for the package, and it wasn't a deal anymore. They get you on these contracts, and only the new folks that subscribe get the deals. And so I canceled all of it, and what I did was I went with the package for YouTube TV, and Google has their own problems. We're going to talk about that and what they did to the Nest system that I use. And believe me, I get the irony of using Google and YouTube to complain about Google and YouTube. We'll get to that, I promise you. But when it comes to the fiber optic that we were using, they were really irritating me with the fiber, because 1G is awesome, it's great speed, but it was just getting too costly for me here. And I love small companies anytime I can use them. So there was a couple options here in the Bay Area. You can see up here this fiber optic. They've got a couple companies. Techify was doing 1G fiber for $50 a month, and that's a good deal. But there's another company here called Sonic, and Sonic is doing 10 Gs of fiber for the same $50. So that's what I did right here. Sonic hooked me up for $50 at 10 Gs. The problem though is I'm using the Google Nest system for the Wi-Fi in the house, and that's gonna bottleneck it still at 1G with the mesh system. And Nest is something that I've got here for even my camera system, my doorbell, my security system, my Nest Protect, everything. But Google just destroys everything they use and they buy. And so they've really just kind of choked off all the innovation that was the Nest system. And so that mesh system just doesn't do much and can't handle 10 Gs of bandwidth. So we're going to abandon that system as well, and we've got something new that's going to give us proper speed, and it's going to take advantage of this 10G that Sonic has given us. This isn't a sponsored video. I'm paying for all this, and we're going to show you what we're going to do to take this 10G of fiber speed and push it through so that we can use it here at the house for everything from my Christmas lights and decorations to these cameras, to the YouTube channel, to the podcast that I do for Turn Down for What. Everything that we use it for at the house, the TVs, the iPads, everything is going to go through this new fiber connection. So we started with the fiber, but next up is changing the mesh system. Let me show you what we did in the house. You're going to love this. We're going to get some really great speed going through. Let's check it out. Okay, so here at the house, we use quite a bit of Wi-Fi. We have 2 televisions, 4 iPads, 3 cell phones. Of course, I do the podcast here as well as the YouTube channel stuff. We have a full house of cameras, not only the front door, but all the way around the house, the backyard, the doorbell, the garage. We've been using for quite some time the Google Nest system, which is this mesh device. And we've got one in the family room as well as here in the living room. And this does okay, especially considering that we've been using the 1G system, but it does tend to lag a bit, and it's not going to give you the full speed. Certainly when you're talking about upgrading to a 10G system, this just can't do that. And over distance, that speed degrades. So when you're talking about going back there into the garage where you're trying to reach, for example, the Tesla wall connector and the garage door opener, and for example, the garage where it's connected to the keypad outside, and even to the decorations and the lights that we have that are on the Wi-Fi, the signal really degrades when you get to that type of distance. And especially when you're talking about a 1G signal, you're really talking about some very, very slow speeds. So we are going to install this from ASUS or ASUS. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that. I think it's ASUS. So this is hopefully going to be quite a bit of an upgrade. So we've looked at a speed test that we're going to use as our benchmark based on what we're doing here with the mesh router. And unfortunately, Google really hasn't evolved the Google system too well. And the entire Nest ecosystem really has been left to kind of flounder and die, frankly. We have the entire system here, from the security system to the cameras to the Ring doorbell, Nest doorbell. And where Ring has really been supported well by Amazon, Nest really has not. And slowly but surely, we're going to have to do something different. And that's going to start right here with the mesh router. So as a benchmark to see where we're at today, we've done a test here on the Mac Mini that we use. Shout out to Holiday Optimist, by the way. But the Mac Mini that we have, this is the speeds that we're getting right now. So download speed of 52 megabits and upload of 23 megabits. That is certainly not fast. And that just shows how the signal degrades here in this living room space that we've got the podcast set up in. I think this is going to be quite a bit faster using this router, but we're going to test it and really find out. And the signal gets even worse when we get outside the front door to some of the lights and things that we have out in that area and out in the garage where the wall connector is. Now, that's not streaming video or anything that's critical, so I've never really cared much. But again, with this 10G signal, this is going to be quite an improvement. Now, why did we pick this one? Well, there's a couple different reasons, and we had a buddy on X that helped us out, and he's got a YouTube channel as well. We're going to leave a link to his video, but I'll even show you here real quick the video that we watched from him. His YouTube channel is Land Pet, so we'll check this out real quick. Here's his video, and we looked at this as well as some of his other recommendations, but why we really went with this router over some of the others, and there's many others to choose from, some great routers out there that'll handle 10Gs, is it had a great combination of cost, and on Amazon, by the way, which is kind of my go-to place because it's easy for returns. Right now on Amazon, it's looking at $523 is the price. And you can even get, if you scroll down, there's even used models that are in good condition, very good condition, for $432 if you want to save some money. And just one of them, by the way, is $329. But this is the dual pack that I'm looking at, because what we're going to do is we're going to have one of them in the family room, which is our main point where we plug in from the fiber optic, and then we'll have another one here that supports this area of the mesh. So we wanted a 2-pack, which is what we also have with the mesh router from the Google Wi-Fi. So yeah, we wanted the 2-pack. That was important for us. And we wanted something that had a physical connector. So this does have a physical connector for the 10G. And that way I can plug it directly into the television or into the Mac Mini or in something like that I thought was really vital. Also, this gives me the ability to have parental controls. We have 2 kids, and we want to be able to control that. And while other products had it, they oftentimes had a subscription. And this is, again, one of my pet peeves with these companies is they want to nickel and dime you and get you stuck on a subscription plan. And that just really makes me crazy when you go and you buy a product, and do you really own it, or are you stuck with an annual subscription cost? And so many companies are doing this, and I just think that that's one of those problematic things. Car companies do this with some of their features, and even things like our garage door opener, or things like the camera footage for if you want to save your footage for things like the Google Nest system, for example, or the garage door opener we have with MyQ. There's subscriptions for those things, and it's just, why is this the trend? And it seems so common. So I really appreciated that with this system, you have parental controls that you get out of the box, and there's not a subscription. So it was the combination of everything: the price, the hardwire ability, the 10G support, the parental control without a subscription, the range, the way the signal would hold over a distance. All of that together is why we went with this product. So I'll leave a link to the video that we have here from LandPet, which is great. I'll leave a video or a link, to the Amazon link for this, which will have an affiliate link. If anybody buys it, it does help the channel. And then I'll also leave a link for Sonic Internet. If you have that in your area, you can check and see. And if you like that price of $50 for 10 Gs, that will also kick a referral back to me as well and help the channel. So if any of these things are things that you think are cool and you want to get them, it benefits the channel and everybody wins. So I'll leave all that in the description. So yeah, let's open this thing up. I'm going to get it set up. Then we're going to test it and see if the speed is better than we're getting today. It's hard to think it won't be. So let's find out together. Okay, as we open up the box, you can see that we've just got some basic things in here. You've got the warranty information you're going to need with your serial number. You've got a quick start guide, which is always great. And then you've got your app instructions. Inside here, you've got the routers themselves, which are pretty simple. So we'll open these up and get them plugged in. And then here's your second one. Of course, you can buy it as just a single unit if that is all you need for the space. Maybe you've got just an apartment or a small space. I've got a 1,700 square foot house. If you've got a 1,000 square foot apartment, for example, you're only going to need one. If you've got a 2-story unit or a large property, maybe you need 3. And then here, this is going to be your power plugs and your network cable. So this is what we'll use for the power. And that's really all there is to it. So your 2 units, your app, your power, plug them in, plug in your network connection, and get it all set up and ready to go. So we're going to get that done, and then we'll come back and run a speed check and let you know how it went. One thing to certainly call out, and you can see them here side by side, is that these are considerably larger and they're going to take up more space where you set them up. So know that ahead of time. You can see obviously the difference between these and the Google Pucks. These are quite a bit smaller, take up less space. So keep that in mind. They are going to give you quite a bit more speed. They are much larger though, so if that's important to you, that's something you want to factor in to your setup and the space that you're going to be using. Also, when you see these, you'll notice that they are labeled. This one here says that this is the primary. This is the one that you are going to want to set up, and this is the master or the main unit. So this is the one that you're going to want to plug in to the feed or the fiber optic that comes in to the house. And then this will then be the remote one that you'll set up into the other room that will be used to complete the mesh system. So pay attention to which one is which. They are different. Okay, so setup was simple. All I did was plug it in where my old mesh router was. Then I had to reset my modem that was down there. Just unplugged it, waited 10 seconds, plugged it back in. Plugged in the network cable here into this one. Now, just something I did note was that on the app, it showed where I plugged it in was the color of yellow. And if I look here, you can see the network cables here. It was actually the blue. If you look at the colors there, it wasn't yellow, it was blue. that I plugged it into. So there's a spot there that says 10G WAN, and so I plugged it into that one there, and it connected no problem in the app. And then I took, once this was plugged in here, it's going to give you an LED indicator. This one was actually originally going to be colored blue, and it flashes. And then I put the partner connector right over there, and it just needs to be within 3 meters so that it can connect. And once it starts flashing and connecting, they synchronize to each other. Then they do a couple firmware updates, and at that point they are synchronized together. Now I can move that one over to the living room, and those two will now kind of connect with a mesh network. Now we're going to check the speed, and I'm pretty sure that it's going to be faster than that other one was from Google. So let's check that out together. All right, guys, so it's the moment of truth. We've got the Wi-Fi reconnected to the house. All I did really was use the exact same Wi-Fi name and the exact same password. So everything in the house reconnected again. That was simple and easy. And now we're going to retest here on the Mac Mini. So as a reminder, if we take a look here, you can see that the download speed was 52.7 megabits. Upload speed was 23.48 megabits. We're going to hit go. Let's do the speed test. This thing should be 10x or more what we had before. This should make a huge difference. Let's give it a shot. Let's see what Sonic and this new system, look at that. That's an amazing speed difference. We're going to push 900. Can we get to a gig? Oh, look at that. Look at that. There it is, a gig speed. That's what we ought to be seeing. That is what I'm talking about. Let's look at the upload as well. That is the speed. And we are, 2 rooms away from the router now using this mesh system. And this is where that speed drop off was so dramatic here, so far away from where the actual modem was in the fiber optics. So yeah, this is what I needed to see. So this is great. Going up here to the front of the house now, and when we get out to the yard and the cameras and the garage and all the little Internet of Things and the TV that's over here, and now when I'm doing the podcast and all that stuff, so much more bandwidth. This is incredible. And again, it's way more than I need, but so much better than I had. So fantastic. I love this thing. I'm super excited. Again, I'm going to leave links to all this stuff in the description. If you need this type of upgrade for your system, if you have Sonic in your area, you just can't beat this. $50 a month for 10 gigs of internet speed. My goodness. And if you're sitting there on a wireless router that's old and only being able to push through 1G, and you need something with more range and more bandwidth to it, I love this product. I think it's going to be great. And again, if you have the need for parental controls, you don't have to pay for the subscription. So yeah, I think it's fantastic. And again, shout out to my buddy over on YouTube, LandPet, who really recommended this product for me. Again, I'm not an expert when it comes to the techie stuff. I reached out to folks over on X who helped guide me through a bunch of different options. There are plenty of other ones that have great performance as well. This was just the right one for my family and had the different things that I needed. So hope you guys found this a benefit to you. Again, I don't really do tech reviews or things like that on my channel, but this had the things that I needed as a basically a content creator and a family person for Bo Family EV. So yeah, if you like these kind of things, there are definitely going to be channels that make this kind of content. Don't subscribe to this channel for that. But if you like electric vehicle content, check out some of my other videos. I love that type of stuff. Give it a watch, check them out, give me a like and a subscribe and a comment for those, but not for this type of stuff. So hopefully you enjoyed this as well. Leave a comment, tell me what you think. It helps the engagement of the channel, hype it up if you're watching this on mobile. All these things help support the channel. And again, I've left referral links for this product and for Sonic, and all these things help little channels like mine grow and help the family as well. So thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one, or maybe we won't. If this is the only time you watch, we appreciate that as well. See you guys.